number 2 of the class-based UML diagram. And just to get to draw.io, you just have to type in draw.io and then go to that site, and you can get to right to this area. If you want to know more details, please watch the first video on how to get here. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to actually be setting up this animal, but this time I'm going to be doing fish and cat. So I'm just going to, it doesn't matter if you want to call animal or mammal, doesn't matter to me. I'm just trying to show you guys how to organize some information based on class-based diagrams. And what we want to do here is we want to still have instance variables at the top and methods at the bottom. So I just want you guys to get in the habit, at least for now, to do at least 3 at the top and 3 at the bottom for each of these classes. So each class, so each thing like animal, fish, and cat, they're all classes. But because they're in a hierarchy, there's the parent is all at the top and the children are underneath, but they somehow relate to one another still. So let's fill this out first. So what does a fish and cat both have? And we just want to write an instance variable. So maybe they're one of our pet fish or pet cats. So let's say we have a name, and names are usually represented as strings. And make sure you put it as a capital S, because when we write the Boolean type, we want to have it as a capital letter at the beginning. Next, we could put it as whether it is male or female. We can write Boolean. I'm not going to get into gender studies. It's really up to you how you want to organize your information, but I'm just going to put that for now. So you could put, it's up to you if you want to use Boolean, you want to use string, it's up to you. As long as you format it properly, Boolean with capital B, string with a capital S. And there's age, so how old is this animal? And that's usually represented in integer, as an integer. And next, we're going to actually specify a method or function, and these are usually some kind of action that it performs or something that it does. So what do fish and cat both do? Well, they can both move. So when you write an action or method, right, you have to put those opening and closing brackets. Next, we'll put eat because they both eat. They perform that action. Maybe they also hunt food. So let's say hunt food, and we'll just put that as camel case. And don't forget the opening and closing brackets. And that's how you specify the instance variables and methods underneath. I really want you guys to get used to this type of format for class-based diagrams. Now, let's go look at one of the children, which is the fish. So let's say, does this fish have fins? And we could say, is it integer? So true or false? Integer. There we go. So integer. So maybe like, how many fins does this, how many fins does this fish have? So we'll use integer. And then we'll say, okay, does it have scales? And that could be represented as a Boolean. So true or false, does this fish have scales? And then maybe, does a fish have, let's see, actually, let me just double check here. So I guess what we could put there is, this is going to be like, I guess, somewhat of an obvious one unless I don't know of a particular fish, but let's just say, does this fish have nails? Boolean, true or false? Most likely not, so it's going to be false. We'll say, what else does this fish what can the fish do? We could say lay egg, right? Does it lay eggs? Okay, is it laying eggs? That's some kind of action that it's performing. And what else can a fish do that a cat usually doesn't do? Let's just say swim for right now. So cats could swim, but let's just in general say that fish are usually most likely to be in water more than cats. And let's say maybe it blows bubbles or something like that. You know, it's really like sometimes hard to think of, I know, certain actions or things that each thing does. So I'm not an animal expert, but I'm just trying to show you that the formatting where you put the instance variables at the top and then the methods or functions underneath, so it's performing some kind of action. Now let's do cat. So let's see here. Let's see, does a cat have legs? Integer, specify it has 4 legs. And then let's say hair. Does the cat have hair? Boolean, true or false? Maybe it's a hairless cat. And then nails. I know that, so this can be Boolean as well, true or false. So I know that in class-based programming languages, because they both, if we're checking nails for both of them, we can technically put it in parent, but I just couldn't think of anything else to put in the children for the fish and cat. So I'm not going to be teaching you guys about polymorphism, inheritance, abstraction, and all that stuff. So as long as you guys are formatting the top parts with the instance variables with the correct data types, or at least formatting it correctly with the first letter capitalized, and then the methods below, that's all I really care about. I'm not going to check how accurate you are about where things go. Just think about formatting. So next, we could also look at, does a cat, maybe it scratches, right? It uses its nails to scratch around. So make sure the opening and closing brackets, because it's performing some kind of action. Now, what else does a cat do? We could say it meows. Let's just say meow. Or meows, it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to get too technical on that. So next, oops, let me close that. So let me do the last one. So next one is, let's say, climb. So does this cat maybe climb around? Is performing some kind of climbing action, doing things. So that's represented there with that opening and closing brackets as well. And that's basically how you do the second animal class-based UML diagram, which contains the fish and the cat.